Hey guys, Dr. Dex here. Today I'm going to show you how did we figure out where to put the landings on this current deck project we're on here in Gig Harbor, Washington. So if you like this video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. All right, class is in session. Here's my whiteboard. I'm going to draw this out for you and explain to you, and then we'll show you examples after we're done drawing this out. Basically, we have the house. Came out like this, goes like that. There was an existing landing right here. The old staircase used to come down right here, but we nixed that. We got rid of all this stuff down here, and then I decided, okay, we're gonna put a landing over here. But where do we put that landing? How do you know where that goes? So basically, what you got to do is you got to figure out your elevations, and you got to know a little bit about stair building to figure this out. You got to know your rise and your run of your stairs, right? Your stair stringer. So the first thing I did was I calculated the elevation of the rise that I need for each section of this build. So what I came up with was I used an average of 7 inches. So a 7-inch rise for each level on this entire project will get me to my final destination with the proper amount of stairs. So I have a set of windows right here. Well, actually this window's back a little bit, but you get the point. So we had to have this landing below the level of this window. So to get below the level of these windows from the top of this deck, I wanted to go 63 inches down, minus 63 inches. Okay, so that's 7 times 9 is 63. So we have 9 rises, but our first step is going to be 1 step below the initial landing. So I need 8 stairs to do my first staircase to land on this landing. So that means if I'm projecting, I project, so I have a 7-inch rise, okay? What's my run? Well, 2 boards plus a 1/4-inch gap, well 3/16, we'll just say a quarter, is 11 1/4. And I always like to give myself a 1/4 inch of play when I'm building my stairs. So usually my run is 11 1/2. So I know I need a 7-inch rise. I have an 11 1/2 inch run, okay? If I take 11 1/2 inches times 8 stairs, that's, let's see, 11 times 88 plus another half, so 8 is 4, 88, and 92-inch run, 92-inch distance, approximately. So from the edge of this deck to where my last stair stringer is gonna land is gonna be 92 inches. From here to here is 92, okay? You wanna make sure you have about 12 inches to land on your landing. That's the way I build. Other people build their stairs into the landing. I don't, you can do that, that's fine. But I'd rather land on top of the structure that I'm about to build. So I'm gonna build this plus 12 inches this way so that when my staircase comes down, this whole bottom area is landing on that 63 inches below the level of this. Now, when I figured out this elevation, I did not have any decking on this deck, and I did not have any decking on this deck, okay? Usually the way I would do this is I would frame this, lay the decking, and then put the staircase on top of it. But because I was required to have a framing inspection before I laid any decking, I actually had to frame everything and then deck this out. So it was a little tricky getting it underneath here, but we were able to get it done. On the lower set of stairs, I'll tell you in a minute, we actually just moved the staircase out of the way, finished our landing after framing inspection, and reinstalled it after, and then the inspector saw it and, oh, okay, great, whatever, okay? Now I know the elevation, how high this has to be off the ground, and I know where to put it this way, because I'm really building this landing from this point right here over to the edge of the window. So this became X. That measurement came into play after I knew where my staircase was gonna land and where I wanted the landing to end, which I wanted it to end on the outside of the window so that my rail post wasn't in the middle of the window and the clients are like, "Ugh, what's this?" So if you go back and notice, the post is not in the direct view of the window. You have to kind of look to the angle and then look on an angle and you'll see it, but it's not in the window. It's not in the way. Okay, even though my staircase is, my post is not. So now that I have this built and I know where it is, I have another landing down here. So on this one, what I did was I went ahead and I framed up our next set of stairs, okay? And once I knew where that was, then I could figure out where to build this landing again, which I made it stick out a little bit past here. This side went like this. This one came out a little bit and went like that, came like this and went over to here because I tied in to this post that we're actually using as our drawing board, which is right here. So then once that was done, I had to figure out how to frame it. So this staircase was already built and I temped it up so I could figure out where to build this. So what I did was I built some beams, right? I set some beams underneath here. I had a beam here and a beam here. And then I ran my joist like this. And then I put an additional post and I framed it right into this deck that we had built, which is down here. And here's that last step that we talked about earlier. So I was able to get the beams framed in with the footings. I tied in the beam into the lower deck joist because this lower deck I built all the way underneath here. And then I covered right over the top of it with more framing. These beams went like this, the joist went like this, and then I just started figuring out my rim joist and all that stuff, like so. And then I was able to take the staircase away. I just disconnected it, set it to the side, and then I finished installing all the decking and all the trim and everything on this lower landing. And then I brought my staircase back over and reinstalled it and put it back in place. And then I ended up trimming all that out, so on and so forth. So that's how I figured out on this build where to put these landings. I used the same technique. This was minus 63 inches from here, and then this level was another 5 below that. This landing is actually minus 98 inches from this landing, which is at 0. Okay, that's where I got the height elevation figured out, and then I put this staircase together so I knew where to put this landing so that this staircase would land on it. And then this side was predetermined because I wanted to bring it all the way to this post, this corner right here, okay? So that's right here on our drawing. All these points were pretty much self-explanatory once I figured out the projection of that staircase. I could have mathematically figured out this distance as well. It was only 4 steps. So it was 46 inches from here to here. But I went ahead and just mocked up the staircase since it was a smaller staircase. I just went ahead and mocked it up and stuck it over here. And it really helped me visualize where I needed to finish off this deck and end it. But then because the staircase was gonna be so in the way, I went ahead and just moved it out of the way, finished my frame, laid the deck down, trimmed it out, Cortexed, all that stuff, and then put the frame on it, and it was good to go. If you have a long staircase and you don't know where to put the landing, just figure it out mathematically. It'll get you close, but probably the best way to do it is actually cut out one stringer. Cut out one stair jack, cut it all out, get it all figured out, put it up temporarily up on the deck where you're coming off of, and then get it leveled and figure out where it needs to be. Because if you're too tall, it's not gonna give you the right projection. You need to have it kind of stationary and put where you want it. And then you can decide, okay, I know that's my depth. Now from side to side, I've done it a couple different ways. If there's something to measure from, you can plumb down and take some measurements off that plumb, run a string line if you have to, or a straight edge out of lumber or something like that to figure out right, left, X, Y axis, whatever you're trying to do to get to that point of where you put the landing, because that can be a very tricky and also frustrating. If you build a landing and it's not completely square to your staircase, it's going to look bad when you lay the deck boards and you're coming down the stairs and the deck boards look crooked from your stairs. So take the time and do the proper layout, draw a plan, get it figured out before you start building it, and I guarantee it'll pay back dividends in the end when you have that really clean, crisp, fresh look. All right, guys, so here we are, and this is a great example of what we did and how we figured things out. We're about halfway up in the middle of our run. So just like in the drawings, I have my main set of stairs coming off the pre-existing landing or deck that was at the top of the house. And here they come down, landing on this landing here. Now this is a little bit larger than a standard landing, but I had to make it bigger because of the way that we changed directions with the staircase. So this staircase lands on the deck. So we had to build this deck first, deck it, trim it, and then put this staircase down on top of it. That's normally how we do it. On this particular project, we actually did have a framing inspection midway. So we actually framed this deck, had the inspection, then we decked this deck underneath the stairs, and then we attached the staircase to this deck once it was installed. We'll go underneath and take a look at that as well. And then from there, we have this other set of stairs that go down to another landing. So we had to pre-make the staircase stringer so I could figure out elevation on where I wanted to put the height of that landing and as far as the location of the landing. Because remember, when I'm building my stuff, I like to land my stairs on top of whatever landing is available. So I like my stairs to sit on it. I don't like to screw into the side. Some people do that, but I like to actually land my stairs on whatever surface that I'm bringing down to. So that's why I always make sure that I bring my landing back an extra foot to have 12 inches for my stair stringers to sit on. Let's go underneath and I'll show you guys that right now. All right, so we're down here underneath the staircase, and you can see that all the stair stringers have a resting point on this deck. Now I've taken some shims and I've actually shimmed underneath here. It's hard to see because it's dark, but to keep everything up off the deck so water isn't continually wicking into the bottom of the stairs. So usually we'll put a layer of G-tape underneath here as well as a protectant, or some kind of a peel and stick membrane tape. But as long as I have these elevated, then I don't have to worry so much about moisture and water trying to suck its way back up into the bottom of the staircase, which can cause premature rot and decay if it's wet enough for long enough. The main thing is though that everything you want to have supported. You want the front of the tread supported. Now every stringer has support on the front because I have these solid pieces of 2x8 screwed to the fronts of each stair jack or stair stringer, okay? So there's support there on the front, but I also have support on the back tails of each one of these as well. They're shimmed, and then I've actually ran fasteners underneath the decking and screwed into each one of the stringers as well to hold it down and hold it tight. So this staircase cannot move forward, it can't move down because the whole front end of the staircase is pinned into this deck, will not move, cannot go anywhere, okay? All right, and then we have our lower landing, which originally I had thought we were gonna have a few extra steps to get down to the main deck, but because we had to add an extra rise over here to get us below the windows, and I think we needed one less rise overall from the staircase landing on this landing, there's only one step and then the lower deck. All these rises are identical at 7 inches. So we have an identical rise of 7 inches going all the way up. So it's a nice, comfortable rise. Everything's equal. Quick side note, if you vary more than 3/8 of an inch on any particular rise on a staircase, it will not pass inspection. So make sure that each rise that you do in a set of stairs has the same distance of height within 3/8 of an inch, or you're gonna fail. Okay, so this evolved a little bit on this project as well, because originally we're gonna have railing over here because we thought we were gonna be taller, but since it was just one step, we decided to make the exit go this way and this way. So then we just put one step and wrapped it around these two corners, and then we ended up wrapping all the posts and doing a lot of trim work just to make it look really nice. but that's how we figured out the location of this stair landing as well. And then just kind of bringing and melding the angles together. I wanted to keep a straight line across all this, and then I had a 45 going back this way. So I just made this lower landing a little bit wider than my staircase, so I knew I had enough width for the staircase to land on. Then it was just all about trimming it all out and making it look right. So that's what we're kind of finishing up today, and then this whole thing will be finished off. So, all right, guys, I think that's about it. So thanks for watching this video. If you liked it, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon to be notified when we're putting out new content. Thanks, guys, for watching. Have a great day.